You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to talk about something that's a little bit political and a little bit more entertainment. A lot of you guys have requested for me the last couple of days to share my thoughts on the events that happened regarding the movie The Interview and the whole Sony debacle. And of course, the other day I spoke about Spider-Man. During the weekly wrap-up, I discussed very small about Spider-Man, but this is an interesting thing. I've seen a lot of people kind of feel on one hand that the terrorists won or the hackers won, and then on the other hand, people feel that it was the right move. The thing of it is, this is a very difficult situation because there's a lot of intangibles that go into play here that I don't think too many people are aware of. Us as Americans feel it's a loss because we know we don't give in to terrorists. We don't negotiate with terrorists. We continue to live life. That's how you win. I think what people need to remember here is that Sony, while Sony is in America, there's Sony of America, Sony is owned by Japanese people. The owners are Japanese. The headquarters, the world headquarters, is in Japan. And they do have call rank over the American, faction, over the American portion of the company. Excuse me. So when you take that into account, you also got to consider Japan and Korea do not really get along. North Korea in particular. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, and Japan is not a war-bound country. They don't really have any military anymore. It's very little. And whatever other military they do have is protection from the United States. So you have to think about it from this perspective. It's not necessarily a decision made by Americans to give in to hackers, but think about what the owners at Sony would have on their shoulders if they decide to go forward with this. Number one, let's say by some miracle, some hackers or some terrorists did decide to attack theaters on American soil now, if the movie was shown. Well, I'm not saying that would cause a problem between America and Sony, or America and Japan. I'm more than sure America wanted them to stand their ground, believe me, because it does look like from the outset that it's America giving in, but it really isn't. And it's not even really about giving in, because this is very different from like terrorists who are holding people hostage or terrorists who are threatening to kill. Obviously, they were threatening to, attack theaters. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's not as immediate or in your face as something like what ISIS does. So, but I think Japan made this decision, I think Sony made this decision because if something were to occur, I don't think they'd want that on their heads. I don't think they'd want to know that if something happened in America because of a decision they made, then in some ways America died because of what they decided to do. So I can understand. I don't think I'd want to live with that, if I was them either. But at the same time, yes, this is also a way of showing hackers or showing terrorists that there is a sign of weakness. The other thing too is Koreans, they're not dumb. This guy's not dumb. He knows Sony owns that Sony in America, and that's their movie, and it's about him. They don't like each other. So it could have been also that Sony was thinking to themselves, all right, we'll release this film. What if he decides to attack? He's already launched missiles near our country. So what would stop him from just launching one further or just making an all-out attack? And then if he attacks us, America's going to attack him. Then they're going to get into a fight, and then China might... You understand what I mean? It would be really stupid to even remotely take a chance to start some big shit over a movie. So I don't think it's 100% horrible that they pulled it, but I understand why some people are upset. And it's a very difficult situation. It's not as cut and dry as others, terrorist acts or terrorist threats. It's not as cut and dry in that because this involves potentially multiple countries. It already involves Japan and the United States because of the Sony name, because of the brand and how it shares the two continents. Where when we America deal with like terrorists like Osama bin Laden or ISIS, we're dealing with them directly. So whatever choices we make, the consequences of those choices fall on us. But if you're in a position where you're the executive office headquarters of your brand and your branch in America, you call the shots there and you determine whether or not they're going to do it, then you have to consider the consequences of what if these threats do come to pass. And, a lot of people are beating up on Sony, but this is not Sony's fault. Sony didn't ask to get hacked. And the other thing too, and this is what amazes me, we've had movies that make fun of other world leaders worse than I think this movie would have. Team America is a fucking prime example. But even before that, like, you remember old movies like The Naked Gun and Leslie Nielsen mocking Gorbachev at the time and rubbing off the birthmark on his head. You gonna tell me that wouldn't be insulting today to him? So, I'm even amazed that it escalated like this. It just goes to show you how sensitive North Korea is, or how much they want to play bully, but they don't have the ammunition to back it up. So I think it's a very difficult situation. I don't think there's any right or wrong here. Because on one hand, you could argue a very good argument that they shouldn't have given in. But on the other hand, I can understand why they did when you look at it from a broader perspective and you look at all the other intangibles involved in something like this. Because at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, if a war would have broke out because of this movie, that would have been the stupidest fucking thing humanity would have done in the history of our existence. So, it's not the greatest thing in the world that they pulled it. But I think in the long run, it was probably the best thing to do. So, but anyway, guys, so those are my thoughts on it. I know how some of you feel. Comment below. Express how you feel about the situation. But I just think there was really a no win-win here, because if they pulled it, obviously they're getting the backlash now from, oh, well, they won. But if they let the movie roll and somebody is crazy enough to do something because of this movie, that's American blood on Japanese executive hands. I really can't blame them. All right, guys, that's it for this video. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. Join the nation's Facebook page to meet other subscribers or visit E.T.N's Facebook page and Twitter page. Links for all are in the description.